Admiral James Sullivan stood at the window of the International Space Defense Command Center, watching the sunset paint Denver's skyline in hues of amber and gold. 24 hours ago, his biggest concern had been securing funding for the new orbital defense platform. Now, humanity's very existence hung in the balance. The holographic display behind him showed the massive alien vessel that had appeared in lunar orbit just hours ago. Its crystalline structure defied conventional engineering, stretching nearly 20 kilometers from bow to stern. The ship belonged to the Kraxan Empire, one of two major powers locked in an ancient galactic war that humanity had never known existed, until now. "They're hailing us again, Admiral," Lieutenant Rivera announced from her communications station. Her dark eyes reflected the steady pulse of incoming transmission alerts. Sullivan straightened his uniform and nodded. "Put them through." The air shimmed as High Commander Vexthor's imposing figure materialized in the center of the room. Standing 3 meters tall, with iridescent scales and 4 arms crossed in what Sullivan assumed was a gesture of impatience, the alien leader managed to look down on everyone despite being a hologram. "Your species' deliberation period has expired, Admiral Sullivan," Vexthor's translated voice resonated through the chamber. "The Kraxan Empire requires your answer. Will humanity join our righteous cause against the Zintari Collective, or shall we demonstrate the consequences of defiance?" Sullivan's jaw tightened. The choice was no choice at all. Intelligence analysts had confirmed the Kraxan Empire's capabilities. Their single ship could devastate Earth's major cities within hours. But it wasn't just their military might that troubled him, it was their timing. "We've been watching your species for centuries," Vexthor had revealed in their first communication. "Your constant wars, your rapid technological advancement, your ability to adapt and survive, you've proven yourselves worthy of serving in our forces." The revelation that humanity had been under alien surveillance for hundreds of years had sent shockwaves through the emergency United Nations session. Some nations wanted to submit immediately, others called for resistance at any cost. But as Sullivan studied the classified reports, a pattern emerged that few others had noticed. "Commander Vexthor," Sullivan spoke carefully, "humanity accepts your offer of alliance, with one condition: we choose our own military leaders and maintain command over our forces." Vexthor's upper arms twitched, surprise, perhaps. "You are in no position to make demands, Admiral." "On the contrary," Sullivan countered, "we're exactly what you need right now. Your empire is losing this war, isn't it? That's why you're here, why you're willing to risk incorporating an primitive species into your military. You don't just want our numbers, you need our unpredictability." The alien commander's silence confirmed Sullivan's theory. The classified reports had shown increasing Kraxan activity near Earth over the past decade, coinciding with major setbacks in their war against the Zintari Collective. They weren't here because humanity had finally proven worthy, they were here because they were desperate. "Very well," Vexthor finally responded. "Your species may maintain internal command structure, but you will answer to Kraxan strategic oversight. You have 48 hours to prepare your first military contingent. Choose carefully, Admiral Sullivan, their performance will determine how we treat your world going forward." As the hologram faded, Sullivan turned back to the window. The sun had set, leaving Denver's skyline twinkling like stars against the darkening sky. Humanity had just been dragged into an interstellar war they never asked for, but Sullivan allowed himself a grim smile. The Kraxan Empire thought they were gaining cannon fodder. Instead, they were about to learn why humanity's talent for warfare had made them so attractive in the first place. "Lieutenant Rivera," he called out, "contact General Patel in New Delhi and Colonel Zhao in Beijing. Tell them to activate Protocol Prometheus. If we're going to war among the stars, we're doing it our way." Across the globe, Special Forces units received their orders. Weapons researchers pulled classified projects from deep storage. And in secure facilities on 6 continents, the best military minds humanity had to offer began planning how to fight a war unlike any in human history. The Kraxan Empire thought they were drafting servants. Instead, they had just unleashed humanity's full potential onto an unsuspecting galaxy. The real question wasn't whether humanity would survive this war, it was whether the galaxy would ever be the same once humans showed what they were truly capable of. Captain Nadia Volkov watched the alien tactical display with a mixture of fascination and disgust. The Kraxan battle cruiser's command center hummed with activity as crystalline beings moved with mechanical precision, coordinating the upcoming assault on a Zintari stronghold. None of them had bothered to acknowledge the human observers, exactly as she'd hoped. They really don't think much of us, do they? Lieutenant Marcus Wong whispered from beside her, his cybernetic eye whirring quietly as it recorded every detail of the alien command protocols. That's their first mistake, Nadia responded under her breath. She and her team had spent 3 weeks aboard the Kraxan vessel Eternal Dawn, supposedly learning how to fight in space. In reality, they'd been gathering intelligence on both their alleged allies and their supposed enemies. The human contingent had been assigned to what the Kraxan considered a minor skirmish, the capture of a Zintari mining outpost in the Proxima Centauri system. It was meant to be a simple operation. The humans would draw enemy fire while Kraxan elite forces conducted the main assault. But Admiral Sullivan's orders had been clear: show them what humanity could do. All forces, prepare for emergence from hyperspace, the Kraxan battle commander announced. The translation crystals they'd been given rendered his complex harmonics into flat, emotionless English. Nadia touched the neural interface at the base of her skull, human technology disguised to look like Kraxan bioimplants. Strike Team Alpha, sound off. One by one, the leaders of her 12-person squad confirmed their readiness. They were the best Earth had to offer: special forces operators, combat engineers, and tactical specialists from 8 different nations. More importantly, they were all veterans of asymmetric warfare, experts in turning an enemy's strength against itself. The vast starfield outside the ship's quantum glass viewport suddenly compressed into a tunnel of light, then exploded back into normal space. The Zintari mining outpost hung before them, a sprawling complex of interconnected asteroids wrapped in energy fields and defensive platforms. Human forces, proceed with your diversionary attack, the battle commander ordered dismissively. Try not to die too quickly. Nadia allowed herself a small smile. Understood, Commander. Alpha Team, deploy. Their drop ship, officially a surplus Kraxan transport, secretly modified by Earth's best engineers, detached from the battle cruiser. As they approached the outpost, Nadia activated the quantum secure channel to her team. Remember the plan, she said. The Zintari are energy beings who think in pure logic. The Kraxan are crystalline hive minds who rely on predetermined battle formations. Neither of them understands human improvisation, and that's our edge. The first Zintari defensive platforms began tracking them, just as expected. The alien targeting systems were designed to predict trajectories based on known ship classes and tactical doctrines. They weren't prepared for a human pilot who'd learned to fly by racing through Mumbai's sprawling arcology towers. Lieutenant Wong's fingers danced across the neural interface, sending commands to the modified systems. Deploying electronic warfare suite, now. The human drop ship suddenly appeared to split into multiple vessels, each broadcasting different Kraxan recognition codes. It was an adaptation of centuries-old radar jamming techniques, updated with quantum computing. The Zintari defenses hesitated, their logic circuit struggling to reconcile the contradictory data. Phase 1 complete, Nadia announced. Insert teams, you're up. 4-person squads launched from the drop ship in what appeared to be primitive thruster packs. The Zintari ignored them, their defense algorithms dismissing the seemingly crude approach vectors. They didn't realize that inside each thruster pack was a quantum tunneling device reverse-engineered from salvaged alien tech. The first explosion rocked the outpost's central asteroid. Then another. And another. The human teams had bypassed the energy shields completely, using the Zintari's own power distribution network as a delivery system for their attacks. Impossible, the Kraxan battle commander's voice crackled over the comm. How did you breach their defenses? Nadia ignored him, coordinating her teams as they systematically disabled the outpost's key systems. The Zintari defenders, programmed to respond to conventional attacks, found their logical responses turned against them. When they reinforced shields, the humans attacked power nodes. When they diverted power, the humans struck command centers. Within 20 minutes, the massive complex was under human control. The Kraxan elite forces, prepared for a prolonged battle, hadn't even left their ships. Mining outpost secured, Nadia reported calmly. Minimal casualties, all objectives achieved. Ready for your forces to take possession, Commander. Silence filled the command channel. When the battle commander finally spoke, his translated voice carried an unmistakable tone of disbelief. How did you do this? Human tactics, Commander, Nadia replied. We've spent our entire history learning to overcome superior forces through adaptation and unconventional thinking. This was just our first demonstration. As her teams began their extraction, Nadia sent a coded burst transmission to Earth. Operation Groundbreaker successful. The galaxy isn't ready for us. In his command center back on Earth, Admiral Sullivan received the message and began planning the next phase. The Kraxan Empire had wanted soldiers. Instead, they were about to witness the full spectrum of human military innovation. The galaxy was about to learn why picking a fight with humanity was the biggest mistake either alien faction could have made. 6 months after Operation Groundbreaker, the war had changed in ways neither alien faction had anticipated. Commander Raven Jackson stood in the newly established Human Strategic Command Center on Mars, watching holographic representations of battles unfolding across 12 star systems. Each engagement told the same story. The old rules of galactic warfare were breaking down. The Zintari have begun copying our distributed command structure, strategic analyst Yuki Tanaka reported, highlighting a cluster of battles near Alpha Centauri. They're attempting to replicate our tactical flexibility, but their fundamental nature works against them. They can't help trying to optimize and systematize chaos. Raven nodded, studying the patterns. The Zintari, composed of pure energy and logic, had dominated space warfare for millennia through mathematical precision and predictable excellence. But their perfect formations and calculated responses had become liabilities against human-inspired warfare. And the Kraxan? She asked, though she already knew the answer. Struggling to adapt in their own way, Yuki replied. Their crystalline hive mind structure makes it difficult for them to embrace individual initiative. They're trying to create pre-planned responses to human tactics, but they're always one step behind. The main display shifted to show footage from a recent battle. A Kraxan fleet, attempting to mimic human-style asymmetric warfare, had broken from their traditional crystal-perfect formations. But their movements were stiff, unnatural, like masters of classical dance attempting freestyle without understanding the fundamental principles of improvisation. Commander Jackson, a voice called from the communications station. Priority message from Admiral Sullivan. The Admiral's hologram appeared, his expression grave. Commander, our deep space monitoring network just picked up something big. Both the Zintari and Kraxan are mobilizing forces on a scale we've never seen. They're not just adapting to our tactics anymore, they're changing their entire approach to warfare. They're evolving, Raven realized. But not in the way they think they are. Show me the fleet movements. The tactical display expanded, revealing massive fleet movements across the galaxy. The Zintari had abandoned their traditional geometric battle formations in favor of seemingly random patterns, a poor imitation of human unpredictability. The Kraxan forces had splintered their usual unified squadrons into smaller, independent units, trying to match human tactical flexibility. They're making a fundamental mistake, Yuki observed. Both sides think our strength comes from specific tactics or strategies. They don't understand that humanity's real advantage is our ability to innovate and adapt on a fundamental level. Raven allowed herself a grim smile. And that's exactly what we'll use against them. Contact Captain Volkov's team. It's time for Phase 3. Across the galaxy, human forces had been quietly laying the groundwork for this moment. While the alien factions focused on copying human military tactics, they'd missed the deeper changes taking place. In their desperate attempts to match humanity's surface-level innovations, they'd begun to abandon the very qualities that had made them formidable in the first place. Execute Operation Paradigm Shift, Raven commanded. All units, implement dispersal protocols. Within hours, human forces across the galaxy seemed to vanish. The carefully planned feints and tactical retreats that both alien factions had studied and attempted to replicate suddenly ceased. Instead, humanity's military presence appeared to dissolve into nothing. The Zintari, their logical minds struggling to process this development, began executing increasingly complex algorithms to predict where the humans would reappear. The Kraxan, their hive minds buzzing with confusion, tried to adapt their formations to counter an enemy that was no longer there. They still don't understand, Raven told her command staff. Every time they think they've figured us out, we change the game entirely. They're so focused on matching our previous tactics that they can't see the trap they're walking into. The tactical display showed the alien fleets moving exactly as predicted, their attempts to apply human innovation becoming increasingly desperate and uncoordinated. In trying to become more like humans, they were losing their own strategic coherence. Send word to Admiral Sullivan, Raven ordered. Tell him the board is set. While they're busy trying to fight like humans, they've forgotten how to fight like themselves. When we re-engage, they won't be facing the same human tactics they've studied. We'll have something entirely new waiting for them. As the message was transmitted to Earth, Raven watched the galaxy map with quiet satisfaction. The aliens had wanted to learn humanity's secrets to warfare, never realizing that the true secret wasn't in specific tactics or strategies. It was in humanity's fundamental ability to constantly evolve, adapt, and reinvent itself. The next phase would show them just how dangerous that quality could be. The galaxy had never seen warfare conducted on human terms, but it was about to. And nothing would ever be the same. The emergency alert yanked Admiral Sullivan from his sleep. The quantum-secure channel from Mars flashed with maximum priority markers. Something had gone catastrophically wrong. Report, he barked, activating his neural interface as he rushed to the command center. Commander Jackson's hologram materialized, her expression tense. Sir, the Kraxan just launched a simultaneous attack on all human forward bases in the Centauri sector. No warning, no provocation. They're targeting our command and control center specifically. Sullivan's blood ran cold. He'd anticipated betrayal, but not like this. Not so soon. Casualties? Minimal, thanks to the contingency protocols we put in place. Most bases were evacuated before the first strikes hit. But sir, that's not the worst part. The tactical display showed a second wave of movement. The Zintari, supposedly locked in battle with Kraxan forces near Sirius, had suddenly changed course. Their entire fleet was now heading toward human-controlled space. They're working together, Sullivan realized. Both sides have temporarily allied against us. Show me Earth's defensive grid. The display shifted, revealing hundreds of Kraxan ships emerging from hyperspace at the edge of the solar system. The crystalline vessels, once allies, now formed attack formations around Earth. Behind them, Zintari energy signatures were already beginning to appear. All those months of studying our tactics, learning our strategies, Jackson said bitterly. They weren't trying to adapt. They were looking for weaknesses. Sullivan's mind raced through the implications. The aliens had finally recognized the true threat humanity posed, not just to their current war, but to their entire understanding of galactic power. Humans hadn't just changed how the war was fought, they'd demonstrated that millennia of established military doctrine could be upended by innovative thinking and adaptability. They're afraid, Sullivan realized. Not of our weapons or our tactics, but of what we represent. Change. Unpredictability. The end of their comfortable stalemate. Sir, Lieutenant Rivera's voice cut through his thoughts. Priority transmission from the Kraxan command ship. High Commander Vexthor's hologram appeared, but the usual arrogance in his posture had been replaced by something else, fear, Sullivan realized. Fear masked by desperate aggression. Your species has become too dangerous to exist in its current form, Vexthor announced. Your chaos threatens the very fabric of galactic civilization. Surrender now, and we will allow Earth to survive under direct Kraxan control. Resist, and we will have no choice but to eliminate humanity entirely. Sullivan felt a calm settle over him, the same calm he'd experienced during countless crisis situations throughout his career. You still don't understand us at all, do you? Humanity doesn't break under pressure. We evolve. He cut the transmission and opened a channel to all human forces across the galaxy. This is Admiral Sullivan. Implementation Authorization Sierra 095. Activate Protocol Lazarus. Across the solar system and beyond, hidden quantum transmitters activated. Years of preparation, disguised as routine human adaptation to alien technology, suddenly revealed their true purpose. Every human ship, base, and installation began executing carefully planned protocols that neither alien faction had detected. Sir, Jackson reported from Mars, all units acknowledge. We're ready. Sullivan nodded grimly. They thought studying our tactics would let them predict us. Instead, they're about to learn why humanity's greatest strength isn't our military prowess or our adaptability. It's our ability to plan for betrayal while appearing to trust. The tactical display showed the alien fleets closing in, their combined might dwarfing humanity's visible forces. But Sullivan knew what they couldn't see, the trap that had been laid from the very first day of human involvement in their war. All forces, commence Operation Phoenix, he commanded. Show them why the species that mastered warfare by fighting itself can never truly be conquered by outside forces. As the largest battle in human history began, Sullivan watched the pieces fall into place. The aliens had made a crucial mistake. They assumed humanity's greatest innovations were tactical. They never considered that humans' most powerful weapon was their ability to prepare for every possibility, including the betrayal of their supposed allies. The galaxy was about to learn why forcing humanity into a corner was the last mistake any species should make. The real war was just beginning. The combined Kraxan and Zintari fleets surrounded Earth, their weapons primed to end humanity's brief emergence onto the galactic stage. In the Mars Command Center, Commander Jackson watched as Admiral Sullivan calmly gave the order that would change everything. Initiate quantum interference cascade. Across the solar system, thousands of seemingly innocuous human-modified communication relays activated simultaneously. These devices, disguised as standard adaptation protocols for human-alien communication, had been quietly installed throughout every engagement over the past year. Neither alien faction had questioned them. After all, primitive humans would naturally need help communicating with superior species. The effect was instantaneous and devastating. The Kraxan's crystalline hive mind networks suddenly fragmented, their perfect unity dissolving into chaos. The Zintari's energy-based consciousness, dependent on precise quantum frequencies, found their collective intelligence scattered across countless random frequencies. Phase 1 complete, Jackson reported. Their command and control networks are compromised. Sullivan nodded. Deploy the liberation protocols. Throughout the galaxy, hidden quantum transmitters activated in every human-controlled sector. But instead of attacking the alien forces directly, they began broadcasting on frequencies that the human scientists had discovered months ago, frequencies that reached the subjugated species within both empires. For centuries, Sullivan's voice echoed across the quantum networks. The Kraxan and Zintari have maintained their power through rigid control and predictable patterns. Today, we offer something different, the freedom to choose your own path. The tactical display showed the impossible beginning to happen. Ships from both fleets began breaking formation, but not in retreat. Minor species that had been pressed into service by both empires, inspired by humanity's example and aided by human technology, began turning against their masters. They thought our greatest weapons were our tactics, Jackson observed, watching the galaxy map transform. They never realized we were teaching their subordinate species how to think independently. The Kraxan and Zintari commanders, their primary advantages neutralized, found themselves facing not just human forces, but an uprising of every species they had underestimated and oppressed. The very qualities they had feared in humanity, adaptability, innovation, and unpredictability, had spread like a virus through their ranks. Final phase, Sullivan commanded. Show them the true meaning of human warfare. The human fleet, which had appeared hopelessly outnumbered, suddenly revealed its full strength. Hidden shipyards throughout the solar system activated, launching vessels that combined human ingenuity with reversed-engineered alien technology. But more importantly, they demonstrated strategies that neither the Kraxan nor Zintari had ever conceived. Instead of trying to match the aliens' traditional strengths, humanity had created entirely new forms of space combat. Ships moved in patterns that defied conventional tactics, using principles derived from Earth's martial arts, turning the enemy's strength against itself. Communication systems, built on principles of human social networks rather than rigid hierarchies, allowed for levels of coordination that the aliens couldn't comprehend. "They're retreating," Jackson announced, but Sullivan shook his head. "No. They're evolving. Watch." The remnants of both fleets had ceased firing. On the quantum channels, commands from both the Kraxan and Zintari high commands showed something unprecedented: they were standing down. "Incoming transmission," Lieutenant Rivera reported. "Both factions are requesting peace talks." Sullivan allowed himself a small smile. "Accept. But not on their terms. It's time for a new way forward." In the months that followed, the galaxy transformed. The peace conference on Mars wasn't just a cessation of hostilities, it was a complete reimagining of galactic society. Humanity, the species that both ancient powers had tried to subjugate, became the architect of a new order. The Kraxan learned to value individual initiative alongside collective strength. The Zintari discovered that imperfect adaptation could be more powerful than perfect calculation. And the species they had dominated for so long found their own voices, their own paths forward. "We never wanted to rule the galaxy," Sullivan told the assembled representatives of 100 worlds. "We wanted to free it. Not through conquest, but by showing that strength comes in many forms, that adaptation is more powerful than tradition, and that the future belongs to those who dare to change." As the new galactic concordat took shape, humanity found itself not at the top of a hierarchy, but at the center of a network, teachers, innovators, and guardians of a new way of thinking about power and civilization. The war that had meant to end humanity's influence had instead spread it across the stars. Not through force of arms, but through the most powerful weapon of all, the ability to imagine a different future, and the courage to make it real.